The day the galaxy changed began quietly. No warnings. No announcements. Just 23 human ships moving silently through the darkness of space, approaching 23 different targets in perfect synchronization. Commander Tay sat in the captain's chair of the Silent Blade, a small warship built for one purpose: to strike hard and disappear fast. Around him, his crew worked with calm efficiency. They had trained for this moment for months. They knew exactly what to do. Approaching Target 7, his navigation officer reported. The Valaran shipyard at Craft Station. No sign they have detected us. Tay nodded. He checked the time display on his console. In exactly 7 minutes, every human ship in the attack force would launch simultaneously. The Valarans would have no warning. By the time they understood what was happening, it would be over. Final systems check, Tay ordered. All weapons ready. All crew at battle stations. The reports came in quickly. Everything was perfect. Everything was ready. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out on 22 other ships. Captains checked their systems. Crews prepared their weapons. Everyone watched the clock and waited. Admiral Yuna was aboard the flagship Remembrance, leading the attack on the main Valoran communication hub. This was the most important target. If the Valarans could not communicate, they could not coordinate. Their entire military would become confused and helpless. Admiral, Captain Hana said from her position beside Yuna. 1 minute to strike. All ships report ready. The communications officer confirmed. The network is active. Everyone is in position. Yuna took a deep breath. 1 year of preparation. 1 year of sacrifice. 1 year of waiting. It all came down to this moment. For Kepler 9, she said quietly. For everyone we lost. The clock reached 0.23 human ships fired at once. Missiles launched. Energy weapons blazed. Bombs detonated. Across the Valoran Empire, destruction erupted simultaneously. Commander Tay watched as his weapons struck the Craft Station shipyard. The first missiles hit the defensive shields and overloaded them. His crew had learned the exact frequency needed to disrupt Valoran shields. The shields failed in seconds. The second wave of missiles hit the station itself. Explosions tore through construction bays where new warships were being built. Fuel tanks erupted in massive fireballs. Docking platforms collapsed. Workers fled in terror. Direct hit on primary construction facility, his weapons officer reported. Secondary explosions spreading. The station is breaking apart. Target the repair docks, Tay ordered. No ship leaves this station intact. His weapons found the repair facilities where damaged Valoran warships came to be fixed. More missiles, more explosions, more destruction. In 3 minutes, the Craft Station shipyard was gone. 300 years of construction capacity, destroyed in less time than it takes to eat a meal. Tay did not celebrate. He checked his display and saw that 22 other attacks were succeeding. Shipyards burning. Supply stations exploding. Communication hubs going silent. All targets confirmed destroyed or disabled, the communications officer reported. No human ships lost. Operation successful. Not yet, Tay said. We have only completed Phase 1. Begin Phase 2. All ships moved to secondary targets. The human fleet did not stop. They had prepared backup plans and additional targets. While the Valorans were still trying to understand what had happened, the humans struck again. On the Valoran homeworld, chaos erupted in the High Council chamber. Reports flooded in from every corner of the Empire. Attacks everywhere. Shipyards destroyed. Supply stations burning. Communications failing. High Commander Velos stood before the council, his face gray with shock. This is impossible, he said. They were beaten. They had no ships. How did they do this? They hid, Aldercraft said quietly. While we celebrated our victories, they were hiding, building, preparing. I warned you, Commander. I told you something was wrong. Enough! Supreme Leader Thrus slammed his hand on the table. He was the ruler of the Empire, a massive Valoran with centuries of power behind him. I do not care how they did it. I want them stopped. I want them destroyed. Send every ship we have. Crush them. We cannot, Supreme Leader, a military advisor said nervously. Our communication network is damaged. We cannot coordinate our fleets. Our supply lines are destroyed. Many of our ships have no fuel. Then fix it. It will take weeks to restore basic communications, months to rebuild supply infrastructure, years to replace the shipyards. Thrus stared at the advisor as if he could not understand the words. The Valoran Empire had never faced anything like this. They had always won. They had always been stronger. They had never been surprised. Velos stepped forward. Supreme Leader, we still have ships. We still have soldiers. The humans cannot have destroyed everything. We can still fight. Fight how? Krath asked. Our ships cannot communicate with each other. They cannot receive supplies. They cannot coordinate attacks. We are blind, deaf, and hungry. This is exactly what the humans wanted. The room fell silent as the truth sank in. The Valoran Empire was not defeated, but it was crippled. In a single day, the humans had done more damage than any enemy in history. Over the next week, the human attacks continued. They hit military targets that had survived the first strike. They attacked isolated Valoran ships. They destroyed weapons factories and fuel depots. Each attack was small, precise, and devastating. Admiral Yuna coordinated everything from the Remembrance. She received reports from every ship in her fleet. She adjusted plans based on new intelligence. She made sure no resources were wasted. Report from Commander Tay, Captain Hana announced. The third shipyard at Velox Prime has been destroyed. All three major construction facilities are now gone. Good, Yuna said. What about their main battle fleet? Scattered and confused. Without communication, their admirals do not know what is happening. Some are trying to return to the homeworld. Some are searching for us. Some are just waiting for orders that will never come. Begin Phase 3. Engage their isolated fleet elements. Destroy them one by one. The hunting began. Human ships moved through Valoran space like predators, finding lone warships and destroying them before they could call for help. The Valoran crews died confused, wondering how the weak humans had become so strong so quickly. After 2 weeks of destruction, the Valoran High Council made a decision. Supreme Leader Thrus stood before a transmission that would be broadcast across all remaining Valoran frequencies. To the human fleet, Thrus said, his voice heavy with an emotion he had never felt before. Defeat. The Valoran Empire offers terms of peace. We will withdraw from all human territory. We will release all human prisoners. We will pay reparations for the damage we have caused. In return, we ask only that you stop your attacks. The message was sent. The Valorans waited for a response. Admiral Yuna received the message on the Remembrance. She listened to it twice. Then she called a meeting of her senior officers. The Valorans have offered peace, she said. They want to end the war. They will give back everything they took. Then we have won, General Dohan said. Relief was clear in his voice. We can go home. No, Yuna said. The room went silent. Admiral, Captain Hana said carefully. They are offering everything we could ask for. Our colonies back. Our people freed. Reparations for our losses. Why would we refuse? Yuna looked at each of her officers in turn. She saw hope in their eyes. Hope that the fighting was over. Hope that they could return to peace. I understand why you want to accept, Yuna said. We are tired. We have lost friends. We have sacrificed so much. But I need you to remember something. I need you to remember why we fight. She activated a display showing the Valoran Empire. If we accept this peace, the Valorans will still have their military. They will still have their ships. They will still have their soldiers. They will rebuild their shipyards. They will restore their supply lines. And in 5 years, maybe 10, they will attack us again. We would be ready, General Doan said. Would we? Yuna asked. Would we stay prepared for decades, waiting for an attack that might come? Would we spend our resources on military buildup instead of building homes and hospitals and schools? Would our children grow up expecting war instead of peace? She shook her head. That is not peace. That is a pause. That is what humans did for thousands of years. We fought wars, made peace, and fought wars again. The cycle never ended because we never truly finished what we started. So what do you propose? Commander Tay asked. We continue, Yuna said. We do not stop until the Valoran military is completely destroyed. Until their ability to threaten anyone ever again is gone forever. Until the war is truly finished. That could take months, Captain Hana said. Maybe years. We would have to occupy their worlds, disarm their forces. It would be costly. Yes, Yuna agreed. It would be costly. But it would be final. Our children would never have to fight this war again. Neither would their children. The price we pay now buys peace forever. The officers looked at each other. Some were uncertain. Some were tired. But slowly, understanding filled their faces. They remembered the doctrine. They remembered why they had started this fight. General Doan spoke first. The Valorans attacked our home. They killed our people. They expected us to surrender like everyone else. They made themselves our enemy. Yes, Yuna said. The Valoran Empire had ruled 12 star systems for over 3,000 years. Their ships were massive. Their weapons were powerful. Their armies numbered in the billions. No species had ever challenged them and survived. This was the truth that every creature in the galaxy knew. So when the Valoran High Council decided to take the small human colony on Kepler 9, they expected it to be simple. Humans were new to space. They had only been traveling between stars for 200 years. Their fleet was small. Their territory was limited to just 5 planets. They were nothing compared to the might of the Valoran Empire. High Commander Velos stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. He watched the blue and green planet grow larger on his view screen. Kepler 9 was beautiful. It had clean water, rich soil, and valuable minerals. The Valorans wanted it. And what the Valorans wanted, they took. How many humans live on this world? Velos asked his second officer. Approximately 800,000, High Commander, the officer replied. They've been here for 60 years. They have farms, cities, and a small defense force. Nothing that can challenge us. Velos made a sound that was like a laugh. His gray skin stretched over his sharp features. His 4 eyes blinked one pair at a time. Send them the standard message. They have 1 rotation of their planet to surrender. If they refuse, we will take what we want by force. The message was sent. Velos expected a quick surrender. Every species surrendered to the Valorans. It was the smart thing to do. Fighting against the Empire meant death and destruction. Surrender meant you could live, even if you lived as subjects of Valoran rule. On the surface of Kepler 9, Admiral Yuna received the message. She was 52 years old, with short gray hair and calm dark eyes. She had served in the human fleet for 30 years. She had never fought a real war. Humans had been lucky. They had avoided conflict with the major powers of the galaxy. They had traded peacefully. They had kept their heads down. But Yuna had studied war. She had read every book about human military history. She knew what her species was capable of when pushed. And she knew something that the Valorans did not understand. Admiral, her aide, a young officer named June, said nervously, What do? We cannot fight them. They have 50 warships in orbit. We have 3 defense platforms and 2 patrol ships. Yuna looked at the message on her screen. Surrender or die. It was simple and direct. The Valorans had given this message to hundreds of species, and hundreds of species have surrendered. Begin evacuation of all civilians, Yuna said calmly. Priority to children, elderly, and medical patients. Use every transport ship we have. Send them to the emergency point in the asteroid field. June stared at her. Admiral, if we evacuate, they will know we are not surrendering. They will attack. Yes, Yuna said. They will. But we cannot win. Yuna turned to look at her young aide. Her eyes were steady. Her voice was quiet but strong. June, I did not say we would win. I said we would not surrender. There is a difference. The evacuation began within the hour. Hundreds of transport ships lifted off from cities all across the planet. Families grabbed what they could carry. Parents held their children close. Old people were helped onto ships by young soldiers. It was chaos, but it was organized chaos. Humans had practiced this before. They had emergency plans for disasters. This was just another disaster dot in orbit. High Commander Velos watched the evacuation with confusion. What are they doing? He asked. Are they fleeing? It appears so, High Commander, his officer said. They are moving civilians to the asteroid field nearby. Should we intercept them? Velos thought about it. Killing fleeing civilians was easy, but it was also pointless. The civilians were not fighters. They were just mouths to feed. Let them run. Let them tell others about the power of the Valoran Empire. Let them go, Velos said. Focus on the planet. Once we control the surface, those refugees will have nowhere to return to. They will scatter across space like dust. But then something unexpected happened. Instead of continuing to flee, the human military ships moved forward. The 3 defense platforms adjusted their weapons. The 2 patrol ships positioned themselves between the Valoran fleet and the evacuating transports. And then a message came. Admiral Yuna appeared on the view screen of the Eternal Dominion. She stood straight in her uniform. Her face showed no fear. Behind her, Velos could see officers working quickly at their stations. High Commander Velos, Yuna said. Her voice was clear and steady. I am Admiral Yuna of the United Human Fleet. I have received your message demanding our surrender. Velos leaned forward in his chair. This was interesting. Most species begged. They cried. They offered tribute. This human woman looked like she was about to give a report at a business meeting. You have seen our fleet, Velos said. You know you cannot win. Surrender now, and I will let your people live as subjects of the Empire. Fight, and I will destroy everything. Yuna nodded slowly. I understand your terms. But I think you do not understand something about humans, High Commander. And what is that? We do not fight to win, Yuna said. We fight to finish. Velos was confused. That makes no sense. What is the difference? You will learn, Yuna said. Then her expression changed. It became hard, cold. You have attacked our home. You have threatened our families. You have made yourself our enemy. So I want you to understand something very clearly. She stepped closer to the camera. Her dark eyes seemed to look directly into Velos' soul. You started this war, but we will end it. Not today, maybe not this year, but we will end it. And when we do, we will make sure you can never threaten anyone ever again. That is not a promise. That is not a warning. That is simply what will happen. The transmission ended. Velos sat in silence for a moment. Then he laughed. It was a genuine laugh of amusement. She is brave, he said to his officers. Stupid, but brave. Begin the attack. Destroy their defense platforms. Take the planet. The battle was short. The 3 human defense platforms fought hard. They destroyed 5 Valoran ships before they were overwhelmed. The 2 patrol ships managed to damage 3 more before they were turned to burning metal. Every human soldier on those stations and ships died fighting. Not one surrendered. Velos watched the destruction with growing unease. It was not the fight itself that bothered him. The humans had lost badly. That was expected. What bothered him was how they had fought. They had not tried to survive. They had tried to hurt the Valorans as much as possible before dying. "Aye, Commander," his officer said. "The evacuation transports have reached the asteroid field. Should we pursue?" "No," Velos said slowly. "Let them go. They are no threat." On the surface of Kepler-9, Valoran troops landed and took control of the empty cities. They found homes with food still on tables. They found toys in children's rooms. They found pictures of families on walls. But they did not find people. The humans had evacuated over 700,000 civilians in less than 8 hours. Velos landed on the planet to inspect his new conquest. He walked through a human city called New Bizan. It was a nice city. Clean streets. Pretty buildings. Good infrastructure. The humans had built well. He entered what looked like a government building. Inside, he found a room with screens and computers. Someone had left a message playing on repeat. It was Admiral Yuna again. "To whoever finds this message," she said, "Kepler-9 was our home. You have taken it from us, but you have not defeated us. We are still here. We are watching. We are learning. And we are coming." The message repeated. Velos ordered it destroyed. In the asteroid field, Admiral Yuna sat in the command center of a hidden station. Around her, officers worked to organize the refugee fleet. June stood beside her, looking exhausted but determined. "Admiral," he said quietly, "we lost everything. Our defense platforms. Our ships. Our home." Yuna nodded. "Yes, we lost this battle. How can you be so calm?" Yuna turned to look at him. "Because this is not over, June. This is just the beginning. The Valorans think they won today. They think we are broken. They think we will scatter and hide." She pulled up a screen showing data from the battle. Every shot the Valorans had fired. Every movement their ships had made. Every communication they had sent. But while they were destroying our platforms, our sensors were recording everything. We now know how their shields work. We know their weapon frequencies. We know their formation patterns. We know their communication codes. June stared at the data. "You planned this." "I planned to lose this battle in a way that would help us win the war," Yuna said. "Every person who died today knew what they were doing. They volunteered. They gave their lives so we could learn." She stood up and looked at the stars through the viewport. Somewhere out there, the Valoran Empire was celebrating their easy victory. They thought humans were weak. They thought humans would accept defeat and move on. They were wrong. "Send a message to Earth," Yuna said. "Tell them what happened here. Tell them the Valoran Empire has declared war on humanity. And tell them to prepare." "Prepare for what?" June asked. Yuna's eyes were cold. "To finish this." The message traveled across space at faster than light speed. It reached Earth in 3 days. The government read it. The military read it. The people read it. And something changed in humanity that day. Something old. Something that had been sleeping for centuries of peace and progress. It woke up. The Valorans had made a terrible mist. 6 months had passed since the fall of Kepler-9. The Valoran Empire had moved quickly after their first victory. They attacked 2 more human colonies. They destroyed human trade ships. They pushed deeper into human territory with each passing week. And each time, they won. The galaxy watched with the kind of attention people give to a small animal being chased by a predator. It was sad, but it was expected. Humans were new. Humans were weak. Humans would fall like every other species that had challenged the Valoran Empire. On a space station hidden in the darkness between stars, Commander Tay studied battle reports. He was a thin man of 40 years, with sharp eyes and a mind that never stopped working. Before the war, he had been an intelligence officer. His job was to gather information and find patterns. Now his job was to understand the enemy. "Another defeat," said Lieutenant Minji, his assistant. She placed a datapad on his desk. "The Battle of Horizon Station. We lost 4 ships. They lost none." Tay picked up the datapad and read the report carefully. He did not show emotion. He never showed emotion. But inside, he felt the weight of every death. "Tell me about the captain of our fleet at Horizon Station," Tay said. Minji checked the records. "Captain Su, experienced officer, 20 years of service. She ordered a direct attack on the Valoran formation. And she died. Yes, her ship was destroyed in the first exchange." Tay nodded slowly. He pulled up a map of all the battles so far. 12 engagements. 12 defeats. Thousands of human lives lost. The map looked like a story of failure, but Tay saw something different. He saw data. Captain Su made the same mistake as Captain Park at Kepler 9, Tay said. She attacked directly. The Valorans have a standard response to direct attacks. They form a defensive sphere with their heavy ships in the center. Their shields overlap. Direct weapons cannot penetrate. Minji looked at the map. "So we should not attack directly?" "Correct. But look here." Tay pointed to a moment in the battle recording. When Captain Su's ships broke through the outer line, the Valoran formation shifted. For exactly 4 seconds, there was a gap on their left side. Their shields did not overlap. A fast ship could have slipped through, but no one took advantage of it, because no one knew it would happen, Tay said. But now we know. We have seen this pattern 3 times. Direct attack, defensive sphere, shift, gap. 4 seconds. Every time. He added this information to a growing database. Hundreds of small details. Thousands of observations. The Valorans were powerful, but they were also predictable. They had been winning for so long that they had stopped changing. They used the same tactics again and again because those tactics always worked. But Tay was building a picture. Piece by piece, battle by battle, death by death. He was learning how the Valorans fought. And more importantly, he was learning how to beat them. On the other side of human space, Captain Hannah was having a very different kind of meeting. She sat in a beautiful room on a space station owned by the Keth Collective. The Keth were old allies of humanity. They had traded with humans for over 100 years. They were a peaceful species who valued art and philosophy over war. The Keth ambassador, a tall being with blue skin and gentle eyes, looked at Hannah with sympathy. "We are truly sorry for what is happening to your people," the ambassador said. "The Valoran Empire is cruel. We know this well. They took 3 of our worlds many centuries ago." Hannah nodded politely. She was 35 years old, with a soldier's build and a diplomat's patience. Before the war, she had been a military attaché. Her job had been to maintain relationships with alien species. Now her job was to ask for help. "Ambassador, humanity needs allies," Hannah said directly. "The Valoran Empire is attacking our colonies. Our fleet is too small to stop them. We need ships. We need weapons. We need support." The ambassador's expression became uncomfortable. "Captain Hannah, you must understand our position. The Keth Collective has survived for 10,000 years by avoiding conflict with the Empire. If we help humanity openly, the Valorans will destroy us too. They may destroy you eventually anyway, Hana said. The Empire grows. They take what they want. Today it is human worlds. Tomorrow it may be Keth worlds. Perhaps. But tomorrow is not today. The ambassador spread his long hands. I am sorry, Captain. We cannot provide military support. It would be suicide for our people. Hannah had expected this answer. She had heard it from 5 other species already. Everyone was afraid of the Valorans. Everyone had seen what happened to those who resisted. I understand, Hannah said. But may I ask for something smaller? Not ships or weapons. Just information. The ambassador looked curious. What kind of information? Everything you know about the Valoran Empire. Their history. Their culture. Their past wars. Their weaknesses. Their supply lines. Their political structure. The ambassador thought about this. Sharing information was not the same as fighting. It could be done quietly. And if the humans somehow survived, having them as friends would be valuable. I will see what we can provide, the ambassador said finally. But Captain, I must be honest with you. Many species have fought the Valorans. All of them lost. What makes you think humans will be different? Hannah smiled. It was not a happy smile, because we do not know how to give up. It is not in our nature. We will fight until we win or until every last one of us is dead. There is no middle ground. The ambassador stared at her for a long moment. That is a troubling philosophy. It is not a philosophy, Hannah said. It is just who we are. Back on the hidden station, Admiral Yuna held a meeting with her senior officers. The room was small and crowded. Faces were tired. Morale was low. They had been losing for 6 months. Good people had died. The situation looked hopeless. We cannot keep fighting like this, said General Dohan, the ground forces commander. He was an old soldier with scars on his face and doubt in his voice. Every battle costs us ships and lives we cannot replace. The Valorans have hundreds of warships. We have less than 50. The math is simple. We are losing. We are losing battles, Admiral Yuna said calmly. We have not lost the war. What is the difference? Dohan asked. We keep losing. They keep winning. Eventually, we will have nothing left to fight with. General, I understand your frustration, but I need you to think differently. Yuna pulled up a display showing all the battles so far. Yes, we have lost every engagement. But look at what we have gained. She highlighted data points on each battle. At Kepler 9, we learned their shield frequencies. At Horizon Station, we learned their formation patterns. At New Terra, we learned their communication protocols. At Jindo Colony, we learned their supply schedules. People died to learn these things, Dohan said. Yes, and their deaths will have meaning when we use what they taught us. Yuna's voice was hard. I do not spend lives carelessly, General. Every battle we fight has a purpose. Every sacrifice is calculated. We are not just fighting. We are learning. Commander Tay spoke up from his seat. I have been analyzing all the data we have collected. The Valorans are powerful, but they are also arrogant. They have not faced a real challenge in centuries. Their tactics are old. Their commanders are overconfident. They make mistakes. Small mistakes, General Dohan said. Small mistakes that we can exploit, Tay replied. When the time is right. Captain Hana, who had recently returned from her diplomatic mission, added her report. The other species will not fight with us openly, but they are willing to share information quietly. The Keth have given me access to historical records of past Valoran wars. The Draxi have provided maps of Valoran supply routes. The Morath have shared intelligence on Valoran political divisions. political divisions? Yuna asked, interested. The Valoran Empire is not as united as they appear, Hana explained. There are different factions, different leaders with different goals. The High Council makes decisions, but not all council members agree. Some think this war against humanity is a waste of resources. Yuna nodded slowly. So they have weaknesses inside as well as outside. Every empire does, Hana said. They just hide it well. The meeting continued for hours. They discussed strategies, resources, and possibilities. The situation was still bad. They were still losing. But something had changed in the room. The hopelessness was fading. In its place was something else. Determination. Admiral Yuna ended the meeting with simple words. The Valorans think this war will be short. They think we will break and surrender. They are wrong. We will not break. We will bend. We will adapt. We will learn. And when we have learned enough, we will strike. When? General Dawn asked. When will we have learned enough? When I am certain we can win, Yuna said. Not just one battle. All of them. I will not waste our people on small victories. When we attack, we will attack to end this forever. In the following weeks, the Valoran Empire continued their advance. They took another human colony. They destroyed another human patrol fleet. Their reports to the High Council spoke of easy victories and weak resistance. High Commander Velos, who had led the attack on Kepler 9, was given more ships and more power. He was becoming a hero in the Empire, the conqueror of humans, the general who never lost. But Velos was not entirely comfortable. Something bothered him, something he could not quite identify. The humans kept fighting. That was expected. Defeated species often fought for a while before giving up. But these humans were different. They fought and then they retreated. They lost, and then they 1 year into the war, Admiral Yuna called a meeting unlike any before. This meeting was not with her officers. It was with representatives of 7 alien species who had been quietly helping humanity. They gathered on a neutral station in unclaimed space. Security was extreme. The Valorans could not know about this meeting. The Keth ambassador was there, with his blue skin and worried eyes. The Draxi representative came, a small being with 4 arms and sharp intelligence. The Morith delegate attended, towering over everyone with her massive gray body. 4 other species sent their people. They were all afraid, but they were also curious. The humans had asked for something unusual. They had asked for trust. Admiral Yuna stood before them in a simple room with no decorations. Captain Hana stood beside her. Commander Tay was somewhere in the shadows, watching and recording everything. Thank you for coming, Yuna began. I know the risk you take by being here. I will not waste your time. I have asked you here to explain something important. Something that will help you understand what is about to happen. The Keth ambassador shifted nervously. Admiral, we have helped you with information. We have shared what we know. But we cannot fight the Empire directly. Surely you understand this by now. I do understand, Yuna said. I am not asking you to fight. I am asking you to listen. And perhaps, when you have heard what I have to say, you will understand why you do not need to fight. We will do it for you. The aliens exchanged confused glances. The Marth delegate spoke, her deep voice filling the room. Humans are brave, Admiral. We respect this. But you have been losing this war for a year. Your fleet is smaller than before. Your colonies are fewer. How can you speak of victory? Because losing battles and losing wars are not the same thing, Yuna replied. Let me explain something about my species. Something that most aliens do not understand. She activated a display showing human history. Images appeared. Wars from long ago. Conflicts that had shaped humanity over thousands of years. Humans evolved on a dangerous world, Una said. We were not the strongest. We were not the fastest. We did not have claws or venom or armor. We survived because we were persistent. We survived because we refused to quit. The images changed. Ancient battles, medieval wars, modern conflicts. Throughout our history, we fought many wars. Some we started. Some were started against us. But we noticed something over time. Wars that ended with negotiation and compromise often led to more wars later. The enemy would rest, rebuild, and attack again. The aliens watched with growing interest. The Draxi representative leaned forward, his forearms folded together. So humans developed a philosophy, Una continued. We call it the doctrine of completion. It is simple. When someone attacks us, when someone threatens our families and our homes, we do not fight to win. We fight to end the threat completely, permanently, forever. The room was silent. What does this mean in practice? The Keth ambassador asked carefully. Una's expression was calm, but her eyes were cold. It means we do not accept peace that leaves our enemy capable of attacking again. It means we do not stop fighting when we are tired or hurt or losing. It means we continue until the war is truly over. But how do you define truly over? The Morith delegate asked. When the enemy cannot threaten us or anyone else again? Una said simply. When their capacity for war is destroyed. When the people who made the decision to attack us can never make that decision again. The Draxi representative made a sound of disbelief. You are talking about the complete destruction of the Valoran Empire. An empire of 12 star systems. Billions of soldiers. Hundreds of warships. You cannot be serious. I am completely serious, Una said. I understand it sounds impossible. 1 year ago, I would have agreed with you. But 1 year ago, we did not know what we know now. She nodded to Commander Tay, who stepped forward and activated another display. Maps appeared. Supply routes. Fleet positions. Shipyard locations. Political networks. For the past year, while we were losing battles, we were gathering intelligence, Tay explained. Every engagement taught us something. Every defeat gave us data. We have mapped the Valoran Empire completely. We know their strengths. We know their weaknesses. We know exactly how to destroy them. The aliens stared at the display. The detail was incredible. Every Valoran ship was tracked. Every supply line was marked. Every military installation was identified. This is impressive, the Keth ambassador admitted. But knowledge is not victory. You still do not have the strength to defeat their fleet. We do not need to defeat their fleet, Una said. We need to cripple their ability to fight. Ships need fuel. Soldiers need food. Weapons need ammunition. Everything comes from somewhere. She highlighted the supply routes on the map. The Valoran Empire has 3 main shipyards where they build and repair their warships. They have 5 major supply stations that feed their fleet. They have 2 central communication hubs that coordinate their forces. Destroy these, and their military becomes helpless. You make it sound simple, the Morith delegate said. But these locations are heavily defended. Your small fleet cannot reach them. Not openly, Una agreed. But we have spent a year learning how to hide. How to move without being seen. How to strike and disappear. She smiled slightly. The Valarans think we are almost defeated. They think we are hiding in fear. They have no idea that we are positioning ourselves for a coordinated attack on every critical target simultaneously. The room fell silent again. As the aliens processed this information, Keth ambassador spoke slowly. You are planning to attack all of these targets at the same time? That would require perfect coordination. Perfect timing. A single failure could expose your entire plan. Yes, Una said. Which is why we have been preparing for a year. Which is why we have sacrificed so much to learn exactly what we need to know. Which is why I am telling you now, so you understand what is coming. Why tell us? The Draxi representative asked, suspiciously. We have already said we will not fight. Because when we strike, the galaxy will change, Una said. The Valoran Empire will fall. There will be chaos. Power vacuums. Opportunities. Dangers. I want you to be prepared. I want you to understand that this is not random violence. This is a calculated operation with a specific goal. When it is over, the Valarans will never threaten anyone again. The Morath delegate stood up, her massive form casting shadows across the room. Admiral Una, I have lived for 200 years. I have seen many species challenge the Valoran Empire. All of them failed. All of them are now subjects or memories. What makes you believe humans will succeed? Una met her gaze without flinching. Because those species fought to win. They fought for territory. They fought for pride. They fought for survival. They stopped when the cost became too high. They accepted peace when they were tired of war. She stepped forward. We do not fight for any of those things. We fight because the Valorans attacked our home. We fight because they killed our people. We fight because they made themselves our enemy. And we will not stop fighting until they can never threaten anyone ever again. Not when we are winning. Not when we are losing. Not ever. There is no cost too high. There is no sacrifice too great. We will finish this. The room was very quiet. The aliens looked at the human admiral and saw something that made them uncomfortable. It was not anger. It was not hatred. It was something colder. Something more patient. Something that would not stop until its goal was achieved. You are a frightening species, the Keth ambassador said softly. We do not want to be frightening, Captain Hana said. Speaking for the first time, we wanted to be peaceful. We want to trade and explore and build. But when peace is not an option, when someone forces us to fight, we become something else. And that something does not know how to stop. The meeting continued for several more hours. Details were discussed. Questions were asked. Plans were explained. By the end, the alien representatives understood something that the Valoran Empire still did not. The humans were not losing. They were waiting. After the aliens left, Captain Hana approached Admiral Una. Do you think they believed us? Some of them, Una said. The Morath and the Draxi are skeptical. But the Keth understood. They have long memories. They remember other species who underestimated determined enemies. The Valarans will learn eventually, Hana said. Someone will warn them. Perhaps. But by then, it will be too late. Una looked at the star map still glowing on the display. Commander Tay says we need 2 more months. 2 more months to position our ships. 2 more months to verify our targets. 2 more months to ensure everything is perfect. And if something goes wrong, then we adapt. We improvise. We keep fighting until we succeed, or until every last one of us is dead. Una's voice was matter of fact. That is the doctrine. That is who we are. On the other side of the galaxy, High Commander Velos was enjoying his victory celebration. The Valoran High Council had awarded him the Star of Dominion, the Empire's highest military honor. He was now the most famous warrior in all 12 star systems. The human war is almost over, Velos told the Council in his acceptance speech. They hide in the darkness of space, broken and afraid. Soon they will have no choice but to surrender. The Empire's triumph is complete. The Council members applauded. They believed. And enemies who can still fight will eventually fight again. Yes, Doan nodded slowly. Then we continue. We finish what they start, the fall of the Valoran Empire, took 6 more months. It was not pretty. It was not glorious. It was thorough. Admiral Una led her fleet through system after system. They destroyed military bases. They captured weapons factories. They dismantled the machinery of war that had dominated the galaxy for 3,000 years. The Valoran people did not know how to react. Some fought and died. Some surrendered and were treated fairly. Some simply watched in disbelief as the impossible happened. The humans, who had seemed so weak and small, were taking apart their empire piece by piece. Commander Tay became famous among both humans and Valorans. His intelligence network knew everything. His ships appeared from nowhere, struck hard, and disappeared. The Valorans called him the Ghost. Their soldiers feared him more than any weapon. Captain Hannah worked on a different front. As each Valoran world fell, she organized relief efforts. She made sure civilian populations had food and medicine. She set up temporary governments to maintain order. She showed the Valoran people that humans were not monsters. They were just very, very determined. General Doan led the ground forces. His soldiers occupied military installations and secured weapons. They were disciplined and professional. They did not seek revenge or commit atrocities. They followed the rules of war that humanity had developed over centuries of conflict. The Keth, Draxi, Morath, and other species watched in amazement. They had been right to be afraid of humans, but they had been afraid of the wrong thing. Humans were not cruel. They were not savage. They were simply relentless. Once they committed to something, nothing in the universe could make them stop. 3 months into the occupation, Supreme Leader Thruz was captured trying to flee the homeworld on a private ship. He was brought before Admiral Una in chains. The meeting took place in the same council chamber where Thruz had once ruled the galaxy. Now it was empty except for Una, Hana, Tay, and a small guard unit. Thruz looked old and broken. His 4 eyes had lost their proud gleam. His gray skin was pale and loose. He was no longer the ruler of an empire. He was just a tired old being who had made a terrible mistake. "So this is how it ends?" Thruz said. His voice was weak. "The great Valoran Empire, destroyed by a species we thought were primitives." "You were not destroyed because you thought we were weak," Una said calmly. "You were destroyed because you attacked us. If you had left us alone, none of this would have happened." Thruz laughed bitterly. "We have attacked hundreds of species. They all surrendered. They all bent to our will. How could we know you would be different?" "You could have studied us," Commander Tay said. "Your intelligence on human history was readily available. Anyone who looked would have seen the pattern. Humans do not surrender. Humans do not stop fighting until their enemies are finished." "We were arrogant," Thruz admitted. "We had won for so long that we forgot how to lose." Admiral Una stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see human soldiers patrolling the streets. Valoran civilians were beginning to return to normal life. Markets were opening. Children were playing. The war was ending, and peace was taking its place. "You will stand trial for your decisions," Una said. "You and the other leaders who ordered this war. You will answer for the lives you took. But I want you to understand something first." She turned to face Thruz. "We did not want this. We did not want war. We did not want to destroy your empire. We wanted to trade with you. We wanted to learn from you. We wanted peace." "Then why?" Thruz asked. "Why did you refuse our peace offer? Why did you keep fighting when we were willing to surrender?" "Because surrender was not enough," Una said. "If we had accepted your surrender, you would have kept your military. You would have rebuilt. In 5 years or 10 or 20, you would have attacked us again. Or you would have attacked someone else. The cycle would continue." She stepped closer to him. "Humans learned a long time ago. that the only way to end cycles of violence is to break them completely. Not with negotiation, not with treaties, but by making sure the threat can never return. Thruz was silent for a moment. So you will execute me. You will slaughter my people. You will take revenge for what we did. No, Una said. Her voice was soft but firm. We will not execute you without a fair trial. We will not slaughter anyone. We will not take revenge. Revenge is emotional. What we do is practical. She returned to her seat. Your military is being dismantled. Your weapons are being destroyed. Your worlds are being demilitarized. But your people will live. They will work. They will build new lives. In time, they will become part of a larger community of species who have learned that war is not the answer. You show mercy? Thruz seemed genuinely confused. After everything we did? After we attacked your homes and killed your families? Mercy to civilians who were not responsible, Una corrected. Justice for leaders who gave the orders. And permanent safety for everyone else. That is not mercy. That is strategy. The trial of the Valaran High Council lasted 2 months. Evidence was presented. Witnesses testified. The leaders who had ordered the attack on human colonies were found guilty of crimes against sentient beings. They were sentenced to imprisonment for life, not execution. Humans had learned long ago that making martyrs only created more enemies. Admiral Una addressed the galaxy one final time. Her message was broadcast to every world, every station, every ship. Billions of beings watched as the human who had defeated the most powerful empire in history spoke. I am Admiral Una of the United Human Fleet, she began. I speak to you today not as a conqueror, but as a fellow member of this galaxy. What has happened over the past year and a half has changed everything. The Valaran Empire, which ruled 12 star systems for 3,000 years, no longer exists as a military power. Its ability to threaten other species has been permanently removed. She paused, letting the words sink in. I know that many of you watched this war with fear. You saw how we fought. You saw that we did not stop when we were losing. You saw that we did not accept peace when it was offered. You may think that humans are dangerous, that we are violent, that we are a threat to everyone. Her expression softened slightly. I want you to understand something about my species. We did not want this war. We have never wanted war. For 200 years of space travel, we have sought trade, friendship, and cooperation with every species we encountered. We believe that the galaxy is big enough for everyone. We believe that cooperation is better than conflict. But we also believe something else. We believe that when someone attacks our homes and threatens our families, we must defend ourselves completely. Not just enough to survive. Completely. We do not fight to win battles. We fight to end wars. Permanently. She leaned forward. The Valaran Empire made a choice when they attacked Kepler 9. They could have traded with us. They could have negotiated with us. They could have left us alone. Instead, they chose violence. And when they made that choice, they made themselves our enemy. And we do not leave enemies capable of hurting us again. This is not cruelty. This is not revenge. This is a simple truth about human nature. Once we commit to a fight, we do not stop until it is finished. Not when we are tired. Not when we are hurt. Not when victory seems impossible. We continue until the end. Now the war is truly over. The Valaran people will not be oppressed or enslaved. They will be given the chance to build new lives in peace. We will help them, as we hope others would help us if our positions were reversed. Because we are not fighting for conquest or power. We are fighting for safety. For our children and their children to live without fear. Her voice grew stronger. To any species watching this message, I want to be very clear. Humanity wants peace. We want to explore the stars together. We want to share knowledge and culture and friendship. We are not looking for enemies. But if you attack us, if you threaten our people, if you start a war with us, understand what will happen. We will not negotiate with you while you are capable of hurting us. We will not accept peace that leaves you able to attack again. We will fight until you can never threaten anyone ever again. Not because we want to, because that is who we are. She stood up. The Valoran Empire learned this truth too late. Let their example be a lesson to everyone. Do not start wars with humans. Because we do not fight to win. We fight to finish. And we always finish what we start. The message ended. Across the galaxy, reactions varied. Some species were terrified. They had seen what humans could do, and they wanted nothing to do with them. They kept their distance and prayed the humans would never have reason to notice them. Other species were impressed. The Morath in particular found a new respect for humanity. They had always valued strength and determination. Humans had both in amounts they had never seen before. The Keth and Draxi became closer allies than ever. They understood that having humans as friends meant having the most reliable protection in the galaxy. Anyone who threatened them would have to answer to the species that had destroyed an empire. Admiral Yuna returned to human space as a hero. But she did not celebrate. She visited the memorial on New Earth, where the names of every human who died in the war were inscribed. Thousands of names, soldiers, civilians, people who gave their lives so other